Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live. Now, we are joined on Zoom by co-founder of Aura, Adam Pantanowitz. We had a bad connection before the break, but it seems we're back. Adam, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Lebo. Thank you so much. As they say, AI is easy, but AV is hard.
What is AV?
Audio visual. It's always quirky.
We learn something new every day. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. Let's talk about how artificial intelligence can predict crime and riots.
Absolutely. AI is a tool that at the moment is predictive. It's used statistically for a variety of predictions, and we believe that it can have a significant impact in the space of crime, in the space of preventing crime, and in the space of predicting crime.
Mm-hmm. Now, the artificial intelligence employed in similar, to those of Uber's algorithms, which predict when and where there will be a high probability. Please elaborate more on that.
Absolutely. So in AI, we have a number of different measurements or data points, which are called dimensions. And we look at multidimensional problems. We try to use the different variables to figure out some specific outcome. Mm-hmm. In the example that you used of Uber's car distribution, Uber will try to predict where rides will be requested in the future and try to place drivers or move drivers towards that area proactively in order to have sufficient supply when the demand increases. So AI like this is being used all the time in consumer apps, in industry, in research and science, and we believe we can use it to dramatically change how we fight crime in our country.
Now, since you'll be working with police or emergency services when a call comes in and a vehicle is dispatched to assist, what is the predicted turnaround time for a matter to be attended to?
Well, it's a great question. I think there's high variability depending on where a person is. At Aura, we have, in our belief, the quickest response times in the country because we've used a whole lot of algorithmic interventions, a whole lot of very clever algorithms to try to remove all of the manual processes which generally occur in that process that slow it down. So we've been able to crunch that into a much smaller space of time using our technology. And in doing so, we're able to respond much more quickly. So we have response times of about 3 to 4 minutes in certain urban areas. In certain remote areas, it might be a little bit slower, but our response time is optimized so that we have coverage, and we optimize our responses based on the optimal response time. So we pick a responder who we know will be closest to that emergency event.
Talk to us about the significance of it, Aura. What is the inspiration behind that?
The inspiration behind Aura is that term. It was actually my fellow co-founder Warren came up with the name. It's that you're always surrounded by something which is kind of protective. And we wanted to really democratize access to armed response services. We believe that security is a fundamental human right. It's not some privilege that certain people should have. It absolutely belongs to every human being. Every human being should feel secure in their life. Every human being should be able to access emergency responses in a moment when they need it. And Aura was born to try to democratize access to our network throughout the country. And in doing so, we wanted to provide that protective aura around people. And that's really where the name comes from.
Now explain how prediction is the key to crime prevention.
So this is a great question. We believe that crime is obviously a very difficult problem to solve. We believe that there are certain variables out there, certain measurements or certain dimensions, as I mentioned earlier, which can allow us to better solve prediction when it comes to crime. And by measuring these, they exist both as macroeconomic or microeconomic variables. They are variables that affect the entire country, or they might be variables that are highly regional. But in measuring those variables and getting that data, we can start to move the fight against crime to one that is predictive, so that we're able to place interventions where they need to be before the crime actually occurs, as an example. And we believe the future of fighting crime is utterly going to be predictive.
Do you think if we had this app a bit earlier, we would have been able to some extent prevented? Remember, the country went through a looting spree in Gauteng and KZN. Do you think if we had this app a bit earlier, it would have assisted the police in preventing it, or, sort of predicting where it was going to happen?
I absolutely do believe so. At the very least, at the very simplest version of our solution, we have the ability to see people who are in distress by their activating our network. And by having visibility on simply that data of information, people hitting that they're in distress, that something's going wrong, and seeing it happen in multiple locations at the same time in the country, and seeing it occur in that coordinated way, because people would then have access to our network. I absolutely believe just that signal would have been a very useful signal in combating the events that occurred, in trying to quell the events that occurred. I believe that from a predictive perspective, if we had those information signals, we would absolutely, with this app in place, be able to better predict those types of events.
Now, this should be rolled out in 2023. How far are you with the project?
Great. So our project is actually live. We have become the largest response network in South Africa, and we all day we're servicing emergencies, both medical and security based at the moment. So we are sitting on top of all of this data that's coming into our network at the moment when people need our help, and we're able to get data on how quickly we were able to help them, what the resolution was, and with the very many people that we're saving every day in this company, we're then able to start forming this database. And this database is what we're looking at mining from an AI perspective. We're applying machine learning algorithms to this database and to other data sets that we have obtained to allow us to get this robust picture and to get the predictive nature of crime. So we're well on our way, well on our journey to that grand vision of trying to stop crime in its tracks effectively. And that's really our mission. We want to make the world a much safer place. And that's what Aura sets out to do.
And how's the law enforcement agencies, how have they responded to it?
The law enforcement agencies have responded well. We work well with law enforcement. We have strengthening coming up in those relationships. So we're working on those relationships in strengthening them. And we hope to provide more data for law enforcement to be able to do their very difficult job. We hope to provide more data so that they can have an easier time when it comes to the legal process that often ensues after there's criminal activity. So our relationship is strong, but we hope to strengthen it even more.
And has this been tested in other countries? How's it going?
It's a great question as well. We, as Aura, we're live in other countries. We're in Kenya and we're in the UK, and we're launching 5 or 6 other countries, both in Africa, and we're looking at Mexico this year, actually, and early next year. So the model is working in other countries, and our grand mission of making the world a safer place is starting to come true. But we're a South African group of founders, and we want to make sure that South Africa is a safer place. Primarily, we love our country and we love our people. We want our country to be a safer place where everyone has access to the tools required to make their lives safer.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. He's the co-founder of Aura, Adam Pantanowitz, talking to us on how in 2023 artificial intelligence will be able to predict crime and riots.